Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flamong, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uwayama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Thursday, May 30th, and we've got a recruiting show for everyone today. Irish Invasion, their camp, Notre Dame's Irish Invasion camp is going to be taking place this weekend. There's going to be some current commits competing in that and taking place and working out at Notre Dame, including 2025 quarterback commit Deuce Knight. And there's been a lot of talk about him recently, so we're going to talk about him, and we're going to talk about the guys that are working out, who Jamie is interested in hearing about, who isn't committed from Notre Dame, maybe some 2026 guys. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Derek Meadows. He's coming on his visit soon. We haven't done a film breakdown of him, so we're going to do a film breakdown of him. We're also going to break down the film of Noah Grubbs, who's kind of been trending towards Notre Dame in the recent weeks and months. So that'll be our show today. Very recruiting centric. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you hear today, please hit the like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell so whenever it is we are going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. And as a reminder, now is the final couple of days to take advantage of the ESQ Clothing Notre Dame Play Like a Champion not bomber jacket, sport coat that is on sale for $495, 40% off, coming down from $795. You got today and you got tomorrow, and then the special goes away. Get it for Father's Day. Get it for your husband. Get it for whatever man is in your life. You're going to want to email if you're interested and contact at esqclothing.com or give them a call at 312-757-8500 to take advantage of the jacket that the players are wearing on the player walk, what they're wearing out whenever they're entering the stadium. It's a great jacket. You're going to love it, and it's going to kind of complete your suit game wardrobe there. So give them a contact at esqclothing.com. Phone number 312-757-8500. All right, Jamie. How you doing today? It's a Thursday. Getting ready for Irish Invasion. How are you on this wonderful day?
I'm doing great. I'm a bit upset that I'm not going to be at Invasion this year. It's the first year I think I haven't gone since excluding the pandemic when they didn't have it.
For sure.
I think it's the first year I haven't gone since 2015, I think. So I've gone or whatever, but it's just what it is. My wife, she's away in Europe. She's getting ready for Olympic stuff. So it's just what it is. So I have to do dad duty. So I wasn't able to go.
She's on the Canadian women's volleyball team, correct?
She's the physiotherapist for the beach volleyball Canada.
Beach volleyball.
Yeah.
How are they? What are their hopes in Paris this year?
They have one of the women's team is Brandy Wilkerson and Melissa Humana Paredes are world-class players. They're like top 5 in the world. They're medal contenders for sure. Definitely could win gold. It's like them. There's like 2 American teams, couple Brazilian teams, but it's deep. There's like it's a very, very good good competition there, and it's very, very high level in terms of like where it was. Where it was a bit different when I think if people remember like when Misty May and Carrie Walsh were winning everything. Obviously, just great champions and stuff, but they maybe had to beat 2 or 3 good teams. Now there's like probably like 11, that are like really, really legit. So it's good. It's competitive, but that team definitely has a real shot. And there's some other ones that are, I think, could will probably make the Olympics, but probably not medal contenders. But they're legit. These women, and they're awesome women too. Really, really cool people, and easy to root for.
Long Beach's own Misty May, I should say. Question. Maybe a dumb question. You know how, let's say the Dodgers win the World Series, right? What happens with that is like people who work in the clubhouse, people who work a physiotherapist, for example, for the team, they get rings, right? They get stuff. Let's say the Canadian women, let's say they win the gold medal. Does the physio get anything for that? Is there anything that comes along with that other than?
I mean, not they don't get a medal. They don't get a medal, but oh, whatever. I mean, she's not doing it for that, anyways. But
well, for sure, but
yeah, whatever. I mean, you definitely get to be a part of it. Like you feel like you're a part of it, and she's very close with the athletes too. So and like has known most of them. She's been doing it for over a decade, so she's knows them very, very well. So it's been like kind of cool to see their journeys and everyone involved. And no, Rajon, I won't be going to Paris. I mean, part of it is it conflicts with Notre Dame camp, so fall camp. So that's part of it. So that's why I can't go. And the other part is that just it would be tough to take my son there for multiple weeks. It's a long thing, but I would love to go. I would love to go if it wasn't a work conflict, but it's just like it is what it is, and that's like a critical time of year for us for work. So can't really get out there. Gonna miss Paris, unfortunately.
He's got to miss Paris in the Olympics to give you all the best coverage of Notre Dame football that you can find. That's the angle we're going with on that. Jamie is missing the Olympics to talk to us about Notre Dame's offensive tackle situation. You love to see that. Hitting and hustling. Alan Eagle says, you guys are truly well-rounded. Getting an overview of women's beach volleyball was not expected. Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, it's when the Olympics start. We're going to cover that. I'll probably talk some track and field as well. So we're going to cover all bases.
Love the Olympics. Love the
Olympics. Yeah, it's a very good time. Okay, Irish Invasion this weekend. Duce Knight is going to be on campus and participating in the camp. There was a 247 crystal ball that went out. Do you know the rider's name? I apologize for not.
The rider's name is David Johnson. He's an old Miss, whatever. He works for the Old Miss site.
Works for the Old Miss site. Put in a crystal ball for Deuce Knight to flip to Ole Miss. Obviously, he's from Mississippi. When I saw it, people were talking about it. I literally thought nothing of it. I didn't even ask about it. Like, it's just, I didn't mean anything to me. But a lot of people are very, are concerned. I don't share any of that concern at all, frankly. It's not to say he couldn't flip at some point. Of course he could, right? Like, people change their mind all the time, especially in the modern era times or whatever we're in. I think our the godfather of the site, Mike Frank, always talks about look at their actions, not just their words. And he is on campus for Notre Dame right now, or will be soon. I think he's going to be on campus for multiple days. He is going to be taking an official visit to Notre Dame a couple weeks after that. He was just he was throwing with Riley Leonard, CJ Carr, and a bunch of Notre Dame wide receivers at Riley Leonard's house or somewhere with Riley Leonard. He's with the current team. He's done all these things. He's big on social media as far as recruiting for Notre Dame. There's no reason to believe now that he is in any way wavering on his commitment to Notre Dame. I don't know that the crystal ball was based on anything other than vibes. So there's just kind of nothing to be concerned about at this moment. Like I said, that doesn't mean that will change. That couldn't change in the future. But right now, all signs point to me being very happy with his Notre Dame commitment right now.
I mean, I don't know what else he has to do because he's literally coming to a camp where he doesn't have to throw for anyone. He doesn't have to compete for an offer. He's coming to work with, Gino Gaduli and Mike Denbrock, basically. Like, he's coming to get in that extra work. He's coming to, throw to Elijah Burris, right? Like, he's coming to do these things that to be more comfortable with other commits that are there. He's coming back again for his official visit. He came multiple times in the spring. And he's not going and visiting these other. There's Okay, so a couple things I wanted to bring up. So Isaiah Gibson, Justice Terry, Juju Lewis, and Matai Taigoa, they're committed to USC right now. Committed, I get to put in quotations because all of them are taking official visits to other places. Those are top 50 kids that I have in my, the ISD Fab 50, but they're all taking officials. And maybe they will sign with USC in the end. But I mean, I can tell you right now, if that was what happening with Deuce Knight, Ivan Taylor, Dallas Golden, all these guys were taking officials, Notre Dame fans would be freaking out. They'd be freaking out, and they probably should, because that means they're not really committed, and everything's open, right?
Yeah.
And that hasn't been the case with them. And then it's like, well, Oregon got his wide receiver Dallas Wilson. He's another top 50 kid. He's taking visits. Edge Javian Wilson is FSU commit. He's taking visit. Malik Autry, defense tackle Auburn. He's taking visit. Old Miss commit. Ackland Deer. He's taking visits to other schools. Like, these guys aren't committed. Like, they're not actually committed. Like, they're actually taking official visits to other schools, which that is very much the culture of like SEC recruiting. Like, that is very much a thing. That's what happens frequently. Yeah. And you know what? And if you want to kind of dip into those waters, that's sometimes what you have to deal with. And I think Notre Dame understands too that like they're not going to stop. Like, Ole Miss isn't going to stop going after Deuce. I mean, I don't know that Alabama's good. Like, who knows? Like, other teams could keep coming after him, but I don't really know. Like, there's literally been zero signs of any kind of what you said with what Mike always says is like, watch what they do. There's nothing to watch compared to what is happening. So, I mean, and I've been at like places where I'm like, I remember hearing, I mean, this is a long time ago, but like, I was at a camp in Texas, and they're talking about J.K. Dobbins because he had a Notre Dame offer, and they're like, and I was talking to someone, a Texas person about them, and he was like, yeah, I really think he's going to go to Stanford. I was like, he went to Ohio State, like he committed to Ohio State like a couple days later. So it's just like, I don't know. Like, I guess if that, I'm not that, I don't even know if people were throwing out crystal balls, and maybe they were, but like, he could have thrown a crystal ball from J.K. Dobbins to Stanford, and it would have meant nothing because it just, it didn't go that way. Right. And I really don't, and I don't want to just whatever. I have no idea about David Johnson. I obviously there aren't too many times that Notre Dame is going head to head with Ole Miss for recruits. And I'm not familiar with him. So I don't want to like besmirch anything he said. And I know people want to rip on him or whatever. Like, I don't know. Maybe he did hear something and he's just throwing it out there. But he's like, I mean, they have their stats on the thing. So he's 69.2% right with his crystal balls. So like, which is like, not great. Like, so just if you're going to say like Tom Loy, who obviously covered Notre Dame, did a great job covering Notre Dame for years with Notre Dame's site on 24/7. And then now as a national guy, he's like over 80%. Right. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, and Tom built up that trust for years and years. Right. And so I don't know how reliable this guy, but he literally like 1 month ago on April 29th. So like 1 month and 1 day ago, he predicted Keelan Russell, who is a guy that 24/7 has ranked high as a quarterback. He's a 4-star. He's committed to SMU, right? He predicted him to flip. So I don't know if he's like fishing because it's like, this is what he's doing. It's like try to get momentum or whatever. And who knows, right? I don't know his motivations or whatever, right? But there's no reason for anyone to freak out about it based on what is actually going on and based on it's not, Woj saying like,
right.
well,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? This isn't
Yeah.
that, right? And I think there are, and I don't want to just, like I said, like there's people who are local on the beat who know things and who are very, very plugged in. So I don't want to say I have no idea how plugged in he is to the program or not, right? But I mean, he doesn't sound like super plugged in as one of those guys, or else he'd have a higher percentage. Because I got to tell you, like 90% of the times with those crystal balls, it's a guy who silently committed.
Yeah.
And then they picked it. So, I mean, definitely Deuce hasn't silently committed to Ole Miss. So that's like, yeah. So you just ignore it is what I would say.
Here, I have a take. Here's a hot take Thursday. This week, I applaud David Johnson, honestly, because the crystal ball, like you just said, has become a thing where it's like, oh, someone silently committed, right? That's what it's become, and that's how you feel, and I think that's what most people think. And so for him to just be like, you know what, I think it was someone, Tyler Hack said, he said he had a hunch or something. I didn't read the thing or whatever. He said he had a hunch that he thinks is going to happen. You know what? Good. Like, good on you. Yeah. Like, put it out there. It's like, I'm making a call and I don't know. He hasn't committed. He hasn't really visited. He's talking to Ole Miss. I think Duce Knight's been pretty open about the fact that, like, yeah, like college football is a crazy place right now. It's a crazy kind of time in college football. Things change, coaches change, a whole bunch of things can happen. And so, yeah, I'll still talk to them, right? And that's fine. Again, he's at Notre Dame all the time. He's talking to Notre Dame commits, players. He's working out with the current team. It's just like everything that he's doing shows you like he is very into Notre Dame. He's very happy with his Notre Dame commitment right now. But I totally don't mind if you're just being open and honest about the fact that, like, hey, I have a hunch about this. I am putting my name on it, and that's it, right? If you explain that to people, then everyone can take the proper, kind of mindset going into it. It's like, this guy's calling his shot, and that's fine. And I think that's fine. I no shade on this guy, David Johnson. I don't know him. I don't know anything about his reporting or anything like you kind of said. So, but from a Notre Dame fan point of view, I don't think this is a harbinger of anything, truly. It just is something that happened. And Deuce is going to be on campus this weekend. He's going to work out. He's going to be throwing to Elijah Burris, which is great, I think. I think it's great that he's going to be doing that. I think it's great that the kind of the Pied Piper of the 25 class for the camp is going to be on campus and working out. I think that's great for the camp. I think that's great for what Notre Dame wants to do with Irish Invasion. It shows, in my opinion, it shows an incredible amount of leadership on his part, because everyone is going to be watching him. Everyone is going to be analyzing him. Not just people there, but like also the recruits, like the 2026 guys. Like, hey, a lot of guys don't want to come to campus and work out like this. And it's like, well, this guy's here doing it. He's out there doing it. So you know what? I feel good about my decision to go to Notre Dame and work out too, because he's committed there and he's a top 100 guy, and he's competing and working with the coaches and trying to get better. It's great for the camp. I think it's great for his leadership. Kind of shows what kind of leader he is in the class, and then will be as a quarterback. So to me, it's kind of all good things pertaining to Duce Knight. Brad Klostermeyer, I believe. Oops, let me get this. Regardless, if he is thinking about flipping or not, this is why we need to keep our quarterback room stacked with options like we have now. 100%. Like they have Notre Dame's quarterback situation is as good as it's been in forever. We've talked about it a bunch. Deuce Knight 2025. CJ Carr is on campus right now. we're going to be talking about Noah Grubbs, who's trending to Notre Dame in just a little bit. Notre Dame's in a very good place with their quarterback situation. So it's good stuff. Jamie, also for Irish Invasion, let's talk about the players who are going to be the committed players who are going to be on campus. Joseph Rafe, defensive end. He's going to be on campus and I believe working out. Dom Hulak is going to be on campus and working out. Elijah Burris is going to be there and working out. Of those guys, Dylan Faison's also going to be there as well. He's a 2026, the brother of Jordan Faison, of course. But of the 2025 guys who were there, is there anything you want to see from them as far as like you want to hear about how they look or how they're moving around or how their body has kind of changed in the last little bit here?
I think specifically with those defensive linemen, I think you're always looking at like physical development, and where they're at there. So like, I would say Burgess has been, he's been at multiple camps. He's been on the circuit. So it's like, not that I think it's great that he's going in to get in work, but like, it's not like he's been out there. There's exposure of him. Like we've seen, how he is. And frankly too, I'm always kind of surprised that he hasn't put on the weight that I thought he was going to, but I think he is probably just going to be, eventually just like a 260-pound edge or something like that, rather than like a guy who was like, I thought it was going to maybe be 280, 290 or something at one point. Just might not be that guy. So, but I think really Hulak and Rafe are two guys, definitely, very interested to kind of see where Rafe is in terms of his physical development. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his and his film. Obviously, he was like a dominant player last year, an all-state player, just a super high level production. But I want to see kind of where he's at, if he's like kind of on his way to kind of growing into a 3 technique, or if he's kind of settling in more as like just like a big end or whatever. Hulak, I think we obviously know he's going to be a Viper at the next level. And I think that I just want to see kind of him get that work in there and kind of see how he does there, because even though, he is going to rush the passer as a senior, like they are going to use him, and that's what, like, when I spoke with one of his assistant coaches, Matt Bowen, the guy who works for ESPN and does a lot of their eval stuff too. He's, he said that they are going to use him in that way, but they're also going to use him in multiple roles, right? Because they're going to do whatever it takes to win, and he's a guy who can play multiple roles for them. So he'll just actually get a lot of like defensive line work, and I'm really interested to see that. And I think Al Washington and Nick Sebastian at these camps do just a tremendous job. Very impressed with those guys, how they go about like teaching the kids there, and really like, I think the defensive linemen work hard at these guys. Not that they work hard at every one of these positions, but you really got to come and bring it. Like, so it's one of those things too. If you earn an offer there, that means, you put in work, right? So, so I'm excited to see those guys. And Burris too, I think, I think he's a guy that I'm going to be really interested in. I like his short area quickness, his abilities as a route runner, and I just want to see where he's at just relative to there. And I think it's great to get some work in with Duce, obviously.
Prediction: Elijah Burris is going to create a lot of buzz coming out of this. I saw he was at a camp. Matt had video of him recently at a camp, and man, he looked good. He looked real good, like in just the one-on-ones and his route running. Showed a good amount of burst coming out of his out of the stance there, in terms of like a quick move and then the first couple step acceleration. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to show well, and I think people are going to be very impressed with him. There's going to be a lot of buzz coming out of it. Blayberg rewatched Sean Terry highlights. He's my Joe Alt of this class. Jamie, who's your Joe Alt of this class right now? Someone who it's like, obviously very low rated, but you see kind of being a dude.
Well, I was gonna say, Will Black, if he wasn't as if he's there, he might be my Joel for the class. I think there's multiple guys. I mean, are we talking about guys who's going to be like a top 5 pick? Because none of those guys are going to be.
No, I think just a guy who's like it could be like last year. I think you would have picked Bryce Young, right? Where he at this point last year he was a mid 3, if not a low 3, and you were like, he is going to blow up, like he will, and he did, right? So I think it's more of like, who is the guy who is just, when Joe Alt stepped on foot on campus, it was like, hey, he's 300 pounds right now. Like this, all the development we wanted to see was like, it's here already. He's big. So who is the person who, like Dom Hulak, I think is someone that you've kind of consistently been on, as far as like, he is better than people are thinking. Would he be your answer? Right? Like for me, go ahead.
No, you go first and then I'll.
Well, I was going to say, for me, I was going to say, I think Elijah Burris might be the answer. In my opinion, I just think he got lumped in with the Sean Terry, Jerome Bettis Jr. Kind of ilk as far as wide receiver, and like I think he's better than that. And I think he's a good player. And I think he's just like, I don't know. When I saw him at that camp, I was like, I think he's got a lot more burst than I think I gave him credit for on tape. And I think that's what's going to show. I think he's gained a good amount of burst.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a guy that I already had as a 4-star. So I already kind of thought he was there. So I mean, I would agree with everything you're saying there too. And he had like an elite 3 cone as a sophomore too, and that always is like just change the direction. I think that, and I think it shows on film when you see it, right? So, I think, I mean, because I've already kind of got him where he's at, and because I don't think that I mean, I would say he's definitely would be on my list, and I would put I'm like way higher on Kia, so who Jacob mentions here too. Like I'm way higher on Kia. But I also just don't think he's going to stay high for me, but he's probably not going to rise that much because Hawaiian kids don't. Like, it's just it's very rare, right?
Yeah.
Like he might raise a little bit, but he's never going to get to the point of anything. So I would say it's probably Hulak for me, or Matty Augustine. Matty Augustine is whatever is getting overlooked by pretty much everyone now. I think Rivals had just moved him up to a 4-star. So that was like the first of the other sites that had just moved him up there. And I think it's just like, he's getting the kind of not getting the bump that he deserves. And he's a much better prospect. So he's someone that I'll be interested to, because I mean, who knows? I don't know how it's going to, you never know what kind of all-star games these guys are going to go to.
Yeah.
But Matty Augustine reminds me of someone that if he gets to one of these all-star games, he's going to go there and then people are going to be like, oh crap, we really missed on this guy. He's going to blow up. And I think, he has all the tools. I'm a big Matty Augustine fan.
Love that. Michael says the Joel of this class is Rafe or Solfstead. So he's putting his marker down for those guys.
I love Rafe, but Rafe is already super, super high for me. So that's why I didn't put him. Yeah.
You can't put him there. Beef Eater ND08. Jamie, is that a Peloton behind you? If so, what's a good class? Are you on the Peloton? Is it
I mean, it is a Peloton behind me. I think you got to do whatever works for you. I don't know. It's whatever your kind of level Is that what kind of music you're into? Whatever kind of thing. I would say that for most people that aren't like kind of hitting it too hard, pick something that's 20 minutes and they'll push you, but you're not gonna die. You're gonna go, it's good. And then and pick something that that this is something where this person's energy works, because I'll say this too. Like, I've done the thing where you've gone through it all with all the different people, and I know people don't care about this. Sorry, Beefeater. This is just for you, man, because no one else cares about this Peloton.
This is big time.
Intro. Yeah, but the people who do they're good at picking people for the classes, the teachers.
Oh, the trainers. Yeah,
the trainers are good. I've only seen a couple that I'm like, no, not for me. But like most of them are really good.
Yeah, they do a good job. It's a big time for Pelotons right now. Christian, who I tried to get on the show, but he's got to put the Peloton together, a Peloton treadmill on that. So he's the Peloton game is going off right now. So we've got recruiting and exercise. We got women's volleyball earlier in the show. We're hitting all angles on this. One-stop shop for all things. And if you're interested in a one-stop shop for your media company, you've got a highlight video you want to make, a personal story, a long-form video where your engagement or something with graduation's coming up, then you want to hit up VSR Media, founded by Notre Dame football pregame host and Emmy Award-winning anchor Vahid Sadrazadeh. VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo. Whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or aiming to diversify and grow your business, VSR Media specializes in short and long-form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior and sports photos. Contact them at vsrmediacompany.com. Mention Irish Sports Daily to receive 20% off your first project. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. Jamie, of the other people coming to Irish Invasion, the 2026 guys, is there anyone that's kind of catches your eye, you're monitoring as as we get through the camp? Christian's going to be there. Matt's going to be there. Who do you want to hear about?
Well, okay, here's some guys that I think that, first I want to read, there's a 2025 offer who's going to be there that I don't know if people would really kind of, he hasn't really kind of been on the radar, I think people kind of think the board is the board, but Dalen Penson, who is like a 5'10", 160, he's undersized, right? He got an offer after he just had like an absolutely just electric, testing at camp, and you watch his film, and the guy is just like, he's lightning in a bottle. He's just pure speed, and he's a 4'4" kid, like legit 4'4", 36-inch vertical. He is like all caps elite athlete. I don't know what position he is. He maybe is a kind of like Dylan Edwards type, where you're like, maybe he's on offense, but maybe he's a DB. His DB film is pretty good. He measured in like verified 5'10", so that's something, but like,
it's good.
He's going to be interesting. Because whatever he tests, like, he's going to just blow everybody away. That is going to be something. So, but obviously they're going to look at him and see how he works out and see how he moves and all that. And, it's one of those ones where it's like, he's got an offer and they're working him out. But if they really, really like him, this is like where they push for him if they do it. So that's something to monitor. Cam Thomas, who's a linebacker, 2026 linebacker, out of Westchester, Ohio. He's a Lakota West. So Lakota West is Tabron Benny Powell and Ben Minnick. So that is also that head coach is also a guy who sent people from Lakota West, and then his previous school, which I want to say is Coleraine, he sent numerous guys to play for Marcus Freeman and Cincinnati, and like so they are very, very familiar with those guys, and he's got like legit offers already.
Yeah.
Like he's got several big time Power Fives. He's got Michigan, he's got Wisconsin. Obviously that's another Cincinnati thing there. Virginia Tech, Kentucky, Louisville. He's would be the kind of guy who was. I'm almost 100% Jacob that he was Lakota West because that's where the coach is from and that's where the same.
Yeah, he definitely was because he was Benny Powell's teammate.
Yeah. So, anyways, this is a guy that like if he has a good workout, he's getting an offer and he'll probably be like a priority guy just based on whatever. Like they have a great trust in the coach. Several guys like the Pace brothers, ballers at Cincinnati. Dante Corleone, who's like a stud defensive tackle. He's the guy who played for that same coach. Like a lot of guys. So it's, putting the pieces together. He's got to watch. Benjamin Novak, because there's going to have these other, 2025 commits working out on the defensive line. So you're going to get a good look at these 2026 offensive linemen. So
yeah,
Benjamin Novak, 6'6", 328, from it, he goes to Andrian, in Indiana, he's got some Power 5 offers. He's got, Purdue, Louisville, Indiana are his Power 5 offers right now, but that's a guy to monitor because if he looks good moving at that weight and he competes well at the scamp, that could be potential to be a guy. Rico Schreiber, he's a kid out of Marist in Chicago, 6'6" or 6'7", 330, like Miami, Nebraska, Vandy, Iowa State, Kansas, BC, like that's another guy to watch. King Liggins. First of all, these guys, man, how do these guys props to their parents just being like
King Liggins, bro. Let's just get
King
on.
Liggins. It's like this guy's guaranteed D1. You know what I mean? But anyways, he's got an Iowa State and a Kansas State offer, and he's from Illinois. Always intriguing when you're like, oh, they're kind of going in there. I think Iowa State obviously does a really good job of evaluating kids. 6'4", 265 D tackle out of Brother Rice. That is a guy to watch. I think Braylon Womack is a guy with the best offer list, probably out of all the guys who don't have an offer.
Yeah, Michael asked about him.
Michael asked
he's
about
a 5-star, yeah.
He's a big time guy, so they'll be giving him an offer, like unless he's like there and he's like a kid who just shows no interest, or he's like, I'm going to show up and I'm not going to work out, which I don't think is going to happen.
Right.
He's getting an offer, and this could be the start of like a big recruitment for him. And obviously too, I think that getting those guys on campus to work out for you is just, there's a connection that can be built there. And there's something that with Brian Kelly's staff, they did get a lot of these guys to show up at some of these Irish invasions who were like this level, but didn't always work out.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the occasional Amon-Ra St. Brown who worked out, but not too many of these other guys that were really, really top tier guys. So when you get a guy like that and he actually doesn't work out and you get to coach him and stuff like that, like I think that could be, the start of something good.
That's why I think it's a big deal that Duce is working out, because it's like you get that thing. Like, no, you come here, you work out, right? We're not just coming to play, play visit or whatever. Like we're working out, we're putting in the work and we're competing out here. So that's good. I like that. The Braylon Womack thing. Yeah, for sure. Like just, he's got to like it, right? But you got to get him on campus and you got to get your shot there. And that's a big deal. Rajon's asking for your opinion on real quick before we move on here.
Anthony Saka, I mean, he's a good prospect. I certainly was higher on some other linebackers on the board out of the guys that they were after. I mean, I don't think he's like a bad take at all or anything like that. Um, I just kind of thought that the rest of the guys on the list were like a little bit of a tier above him. I don't know. Like I'd be interested. He's a guy that I would actually love to kind of see his testing because he doesn't, even though he's a safety, he was a safety the year before and he moved to linebacker, right? So this is his first year playing at linebacker.
Yeah.
His film's good. He makes a lot of plays, whatever. He's, instinctive kid. But he doesn't pop to me as an elite athlete. So I would really kind of want to know like how he tests and, where he's at there. Because I just like it, they're just recruited so well at the position. And even if you look at, say, like guys like Cahoon and Rizak, who are, lower rated than Saka is. And I mean, I like Saka too, but like you look at their just athletic ceiling and it's higher, higher on film when I watch them.
Yeah.
So I really kind of want to see like Saka in his senior year and kind of, how he looks there. I think he's a good prospect. But yeah, not like a truly elite one. I think like, I can't remember what site. One of the sites had him like really, really high. I think it was Rivals. I think Rivals has a top 100 kid. And to me, he's more of like a top 200, 250 kid.
Got it. Okay. Moving on to wide receiver, Jamie, we talked a little bit about Elijah Burris before. I think everyone is kind of waiting for the Derek Meadows situation to kind of unfold. And it's getting to that point where he's starting to take his official visits now. And he'll be at Notre Dame on June 14th when kind of the offensive guys are going to be around. Deuce Knight is going to be there on that trip as well. So Notre Dame's going to want to kind of make a stamp on that recruitment and kind of close on him at that point. And I was thinking about, we haven't really done a breakdown of him. And so I'm throwing up some film and we'll talk about what Notre Dame is getting there. I think everyone kind of views him as like, I talked about the wide receiver class with Bettis and Burris and Terry. And it's like, but if they don't get Meadows, I think everyone is going to be a little bit down on the entire situation. And you can see why, like the upside for him is just kind of off the charts. He runs really well. He runs really smooth. He's obviously got the size. He's had a great camp circuit. Other teams competing for him are Georgia and Alabama. Georgia and Alabama, right? Like they're the top.
Pretty good schools.
Yeah, pretty good schools. They've done well in recent history. The internet tells me. So what's your take on Meadows and what does it mean to the class? Do you kind of agree with everyone? Like if they don't land him, it's kind of a wet blanket over the whole thing.
I kind of do. I really do. Just because I think, we kind of talked about those other guys, and I think there's questions about, obviously that's a pretty impressive catch there.
Yeah.
I think, with the other guys in the class, there aren't any freaks out of the three commits, right? And Meadows is an athletic freak, right? That's what separates him. That's why, like, I think 247 has him as like a, borderline 5-star, right? Like, I think that's why he's there, because there's just very few players like him who are that size, can run like he can, and, have these kind of like ball skills and stuff too.
Yeah.
He actually was at Irish Invasion last year, and which was the first time I got to see him. And he obviously stood out, right? Like he obviously stood out with, he's the kind of guy who ran the 40 once and they were like, you're good, man. Like, you don't have to do it anymore, because he tore it up. Like he ran a really good time, and he was, had an up and down day, I think, but you could just see the potential there, right? Just like you can see the potential here. I think the big question is that he just didn't really have the production, which is like why, like, the highlights are great. And he had like I think he averaged well over 20 yards a catch. He made a lot of big plays.
Right.
But I don't know why the production wasn't better for him. Like, I don't know what, I mean, maybe they just didn't throw the ball to him enough. Who knows? But he is an absolute, just like an elite athlete at that size. And really, like, you're thinking, like, the only other guy that Notre Dame has had quite like that at that size is Claypool, right? Who's just really like that freaky at that size. And I think everyone who's a Notre Dame fan would love another Claypool, right? A guy who can really get vertical at that size.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what I've heard about him at Gorman, it was a volume problem and not a efficiency problem. It's just he just didn't get the targets, And so if that's the case, then fine, right? And you would, you say to yourself, well, if he's that good, then why don't they make time for him or make plays for? I don't know. I'm not into I don't follow them, right? Like I don't know what their deal is. But when you watch him move around, it's just like he doesn't seem like the type of guy where it's like, he's got a bunch of drop problems or he's not the greatest route runner. Or you need to get him in some sort of matchup, right? It just doesn't seem like that's the case. You go to a school like Bishop Gorman, like obviously they have a lot of talented players, right? So the ball's got to get moved around a little bit, right? They've got to distribute it to different people. But yeah, man, just you look at I like Sean Terry. I like Elijah Burris. I like Bettis. But like Meadows and Dylan Robinson, like those are two guys with the size and just the athletic ability. It's like these are kind of first round pick type guys, right? Like they're guys who it's just like they can win in any type of situation against any defense. I think Notre Dame does need to land him just because I think they've been kind of a top team for such a long time too. It's one of those things where it's a top player. He's had very high interest in Notre Dame. Like you said, he went to Invasion last year. He's going to be on campus in a couple of weeks. He's going to be with Deuce Knight. They've been linked very strongly for the past couple months, since he visited in the spring. You have to close on this situation to get the class as you want it. And when if Notre Dame was to land him, if they were to land like Jadon Blair, if they were to land Dylan Robinson, if they were to land one of the linebackers, where it's Madden Faremo or Nathaniel Owusu Boateng, like if you land those guys, you start to look at their class, like in terms of the total rating on the total score on a 247 site. If you do a little class calculator, you add it up there. It's as high as rating as it's if they've had since Marcus Freeman became the head coach, And so I just think, and plus you have guys who are going to move up, right? Like you're going to have Will Black move up. You might have Dallas Golden move up a little bit, right? Like you're going to have guys, the Dom Hulaks of the world or the Solsteds of the world. Like they're going to gain in the rankings as well. And so you just kind of say like, okay, like they're recruiting a lot better than I think is conventional wisdom amongst the fans right now. But you do have to close it. You do need to kind of close the door on that. I don't know, man. I think they're just in a really good spot. And so that's something to keep in mind as well. And speaking of being in a good spot, we'll talk about Noah Grubbs in a second. But our final sponsor of the day is Bend Marketing. If you're ready for a new website but not sure where to start, let the experts at Bend Marketing help. With experience in working with Fortune 500 companies and small businesses alike, they'll build you a stunning website and take care of all the marketing tasks so you can focus on running your business. No more stress. Just leave it to the experts at Bend Marketing. Visit bendyourmarketing.com/ISD to get started. When you mention ISD, you're going to enjoy 10% off your first project. Just visit them again at bendyourmarketing.com/ISD. Listen, the main attraction for Notre Dame from a quarterback standpoint is Deuce Knight, but they are also kind of trending for Noah Grubbs, and we haven't really broken him down yet on this show. Where are you with Noah Grubbs as a prospect? we're so far into 2025 and kind of wanting to cover that class, and as they kind of wrap it up here, we haven't gotten too far into 2026. Is something I don't love to do, but what is your take on Noah Grubbs coming off his sophomore season? What do you want to see from him going forward?
Well, I mean, obviously he's a big kid, right? Like he's a legit, like he measured in at a legit 6'4.5". Only 9-inch hands, which is interesting because you think usually with those guys they got kind of bigger hands, that's like the Joe Burrow, like, oh, does this guy's hands too small? I mean, obviously it works fine for Joe Burrow, but I'm like, well, he's a Florida kid and he probably doesn't play in bad weather, unlike, Burrow growing up. So that's something to monitor. But like, I mean, he has a great arm. He has a great arm. The guy threw 49 touchdowns last year. You see his big time throws. Like if you just took his top 10 throws, I bet like you'd be hard pressed to find maybe like 3 other guys in the 2026 class at quarterback that had better than him. Like that kind of thing where he's thrown over the middle with anticipation, leading a guy, like delivering it on the money. Some of the, I think one of the things is we'll get into it as we kind of go along, but like, well, obviously we're not going to watch the whole thing, so I'll just mention it now. It's just like the red zone accuracy for him, like, and I don't know, just some guys kind of have that when they get into that area of the field where they just are able to kind of put it on guys. But like, man, he's got some just crazy great good ball placement in the red zone. I mean, obviously when you're throwing 49 touchdowns, that's going to be part of it, but like really like no other place to go. This has to be here. This is the only place the guy's covered really, really well. And he's like putting it right on it. So I think from that perspective, when you see like the arm talent for a sophomore, the ability to kind of throw with anticipation over the middle of the field, the deep arm strength, the ability to kind of like mix in and throw a touch, like love all that kind of stuff about him. What I don't like is he's not a runner. I mean, they don't use him as a runner at all. And I don't believe he is going to be a dual threat at all. He doesn't show the ability to escape the rush. Certainly he will make some throws with guys in his face. It's not like he's just like totally like cowers under the rush, but like there's a lot of clean pockets there. There's a lot of clean pockets and him delivering with one read. And not to say that, sometimes you make the right read and you got the arm to make some of these throws. I mean, you can't knock a guy for that, but would like to see a little bit more of him going through some progressions and all that. I think what's really interesting, and it's going to be interesting with him, is I'll say this: I like him. I gave him a grade of 92, so I like him. But go and look at all the first round quarterbacks this year, and just for all the years, just in the last whatever many years. Pick a guy who wasn't a great athlete, like a guy who could create and like move the chains with his feet when he needed to, right? At the very least. And obviously some of those guys, the Jaden Danielses, the Lamar Jacksons, the Caleb Williams, whatever, like these guys are dynamic athletes. Like they can really do a lot. So that's part of the game now. And if you don't have that, you got to be like so elite in everything else. Because I mean, there probably will never be another Tom Brady because he was just so good and so above every level at that as like a pocket guy. Like you have to be so, and it's not to say everything you hear about him is that, man, he's a really, really high football IQ. He's very dedicated. He loves it. All this kind of stuff. Great. Right. He's going to be a 4-year starter in high school, right? Like he started as a freshman.
Yeah.
Went from 51% completions to 58. You like to see that. And like I said, you see some of the ball placement. I mean, he's going to be like, I bet he's probably going to be like 65 this completion this year. Like he's going to keep going up and up. there's a lot to like about him. But he was like 220 something basically last fall. And he ran in prior to last year, he ran like a 5.3 40 or like a 5.4 40, which obviously is not good, but whatever. Like, I'm not getting too caught up in a 40 for kid, whatever. But he went down to a 5. He lost 20 pounds, which if you look at him, he looks better. He looks better. Yeah. But how was that going to impact? He ran a 5.1 at the thing. So he's he's just not like an elite athlete. He's not going to be, he's certainly no Deuce Knight. He's not CJ Carr. He's not Kenny Minchie. I wouldn't even say he's Steve Angeli as an athlete. And that is my one question about him is like, can you kind of see that? Is that going to become part of his game? Is that where he's going to kind of grow into that? Where it's like, you're going to see more of that? Because I like so much about him as a thrower. And I think like mechanically, you mentioned to me previously, like when we were just kind of chatting about last night, sometimes he does become like a little bit too much of an upper body thrower on some throws, for sure. You see that, but also he's a guy that is kind of strong enough that he can kind of get away with some of that. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes you don't have your legs. So I kind of like seeing that. So you want to be able to do, make those kind of throws when it's like, it's not perfect. Right. So I don't mind all that. But I don't know. I really, really value being able to escape and create, especially on third down. And I just, I don't see it. So I really, really hope that is something that we see more of with him as a junior and a senior.
Yeah. And obviously there's time, right, that he can grow into that. And I'm sure we're not the only people that have that concern, right? I mean, he might, right? I mean, he knows what the game is, right? Like he knows what he needs to add to his game and things of that nature. But like you say, you just can't be in a clean pocket all the time. You just can't. And you do have to win. Even if you're not like running for a first down, like you have to be able to maneuver in and out of the pocket just to create space for yourself. Right. So like that's super important. And so it's one of those things where, look, anytime you have a concern about a sophomore, then like you're going to say, well, he's just a sophomore. Okay. But he does have to improve. It can't stay the same. So it's just something that we're going to keep track of. And we're going to monitor and, going forward. He does, like, like you said, if he doesn't become like a guy who can operate out of the pocket and kind of extend plays that way, then that completion percentage cannot be 58%. It needs to be
he's got to be like 70.
It's got to be like 65, 68, 70. 65 is kind of the minimum there. So we'll see where that goes. Right. I think it's something for us to keep an eye on. Let's see. Where is it? Someone asked about the 2027 guy. Let me just.
I haven't watched the 27. I haven't watched the 2027.
I've only seen a little bit. CFB Hurts, and I'm only bringing it up because he's local. So Brady Edmonds. So I reported it. I reported that he will be at Notre Dame on June 10th for their little showcase. So he's going to be throwing on campus. Brady Edmonds. He's honestly the size of Noah Grubbs right now. He's a freshman now. He's going to be a sophomore. I believe he's sophomore age, right? So I believe he's 16 years old. He's very
JT
big.
Daniels kids.
Yes, man. It's just it's a thing now, especially in Southern California. It's a whole thing. But he has a similar problem to Grubs, where it's like, man, when he's standing there in the pocket, he looks real good, and when he's got to move around a little bit, he doesn't look as good. Now, granted, just a freshman, right? He's got to improve there, but like he is a big boy already, and it's like he's not going to get smaller. And so how good can that mobility really get, right? But as far as just standing there and throwing, like he does look. So that's something to monitor, obviously. And frankly, like I have my own kind of concerns about Notre Dame pulling a Orange County kid out of, the USC kind of Oregon, UCLA kind of vibe, right? Like that's kind of what I see, but we'll see. I mean, obviously there's lots of time to keep track of that, and we'll monitor the Brady Edmonds situation over the next few years. But that's going to do it for our show today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please hit the like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell so whatever it is, we are going live. We'll be back on Tuesday to talk more about Irish Invasion and how things went. I'm sure we'll have some updates from Matt and Christian so we can discuss those. And then official visits will start up next weekend, or the weekend after that. So we'll be back covering that. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Keep hitting and